Two schmucks have arrived in town.
Hello.
First time in our lives. All right. It's been like just about an hour getting everything set up audio-wise, but now we're good to go. And
Yeah,
we
it
can
was
start talking
terrible.
about what's that?
I said it was terrible.
Yeah. But now I think we got that figured out for future times. So it won't be terrible, it'll be terrific. Similar, but different. So, Schmuck 2, what do you got to say?
Well, Schmuck 1, just trying to maximize this window here. So let me bring up a little bit of this. So today's topic, flow state. Many people watching maybe have never heard of flow state. So what is flow state, Dan?
A flow state is, well, it's the word for the, I'm not actually entirely sure the best way to describe it, but it's like the psychology of optimal experience is, some people say it. It's like when you're really in the zone, or when you're in the pocket, or when like you're, I don't know, you feel like there's like a million words for it, and you can get into a flow state in any kind of activity where you're having fun, basically, like when you're really into it. So it happens when you're playing any kind of sport, you're really into it, especially like adventure sports like surfing or like snowboarding or running. People get runner's highs after they've been running for a while and they feel that way. Or it can happen from all sorts of stuff. People get it from conversing, from making art, doing music, and just like when you're like totally into it. There's a whole bunch of factors and a whole bunch more that we'll get into, like how to get there and what it's like and how it feels. But yeah, generally it's like that state when we feel really good, and we try to get to this state often.
Right. It's like going to Vermont. It's a state that feels really good. You try to get
Yeah, well, it's more of a psychological state. Although you could be going to the psychological state of Vermont too, and then you're doing really well.
Yeah. So for me, I'm at our friend Saman's house right now, and he was nice enough to lend us his kitchen, or lend me his kitchen to facilitate this part of the conversation, and hopefully he gets into it in just a moment as well. But it was kind of like the first time he had really spoken to anybody about the idea of flow state. And everybody feels flow at some point in their life, but if you don't talk about it and you don't get the verbalization and the verbiage for it, then you can't always identify the feeling and associate it with the words and really have like a full circle idea for it. So trying to explain it to him a little bit, it's a little bit of a hard concept to grasp at first, but it's like when you said, well, you used the term optimal experience, right? Or optimal.
Yeah, well, I brought that term up actually because flow, the word was like invented and popularized sometime, I think in like the 80s or 90s, and it was in this book by like I think he's like some Czech dude with a long name like Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi or something like that, and he titled it like flow, the psychological state of optimal performance. And so it's one of those things that I guess is not popular enough, and a lot of people haven't talked about it, so that like the definition has gotten like really concise and narrow. Or maybe it has. Maybe I just haven't talked about it enough. But it's like, yeah, psychology of optimal performance. Optimal being like when we're performing at our best, this is the state that we're in. This is how we feel. Right. This is what we think.
Right. And I think that a big part of that, as Jason Silva says at least, is that flow state is about like channeling this energy that you feel, that you don't have to think about it. It's just happening. Sometimes I catch myself in flow state where I'm already in the middle of saying something, and I'm like, my subconscious mind, or my conscious mind, I guess, behind my thoughts is like, wow, where is this coming from right now? Or I get so caught up in it, like the past melts away. There is no feeling or thinking of the past. There is no feeling or thinking for the future. So you're completely devoid of this like anxiety for the past or any anxiety for the future. And you're just living very much in the moment, in that mind state, existing for that moment, and potentially sharing that with people if your flow is interconnected which I'd like to get to in a little bit, because I think interconnected flow is where you can have a lot of great progress, like with each other, and people can build off of other people's flow.
Yeah, group flow. It's something that can bind us in like all sorts of ways and like bring us closer together. There's all sorts of like physiological stuff going on and neurochemical stuff that over the past couple of decades, people have started researching flow states because they've become interested, and just like we are, like, okay, how do we get to this kind of state more, and what are the factors that lead to getting into it, and what is actually happening? So people have found that there's all sorts of like chemicals that are going on in our brain, like endorphins and all sorts of other ones I don't really know, that are like when we're getting into these flow states, then like these things are happening naturally to make us feel these certain ways. And there's all sorts of uh, things that help us get into flow state, or like sort of prerequisites for us to be there. Like you mentioned, like you're not thinking about the future, you're not thinking about the past. You're kind of just totally in the moment, and it's kind of like being fully absorbed in the current activity you're doing. Like if you're being if you're surfing or something, you're not thinking about your laundry or your taxes or anything else. You're just like thinking about the wave and where you are, and like every bit of your mental energy is being like funneled into this current task you're doing. You're totally focused, and so it's like you're totally absorbed, and it's requiring your full attention. And there's a lot of things that go along with it. Like a lot of people talk about how the boundary between the self and the outside world kind of fades a bit. It's kind of like not necessarily you're surfing the wave, but it's kind of like you are. Like people talk about like me and the wave being one when they're surfing, and it's kind of like you and the wave like sync up, or in group flow, like you mentioned. Like there's people who are playing football together, like and their minds will be kind of synced up, so they'll know like kind of intuitively like where the person's going to turn on their team, or or if somebody's playing soccer, you kind of intuitively know where the guy's going to make a run so you can pass the ball to. And then there's also some other stuff too, like to be in a flow state, it's got to be like something that you're really, it's challenging your skills. Like it's something that you feel like you can't just lazily get by, but you have to be like fully attentive to. But it can't be like something that's like crazy difficult to, something that's appropriate for your skill set. And there's got to be like high stakes. It's got to be like feeling new, stuff like that. Is like, I don't know, kind of like just trying to describe the flow state more and the times that we get into these kind of states.
Yeah, and that kind of like leads me into my next point, is like to be in flow state is one thing. To identify that time with happiness and success is one thing, but to look back on your progress and say, oh well, in this time I must have been in flow. But to know that you're in flow and to be able to communicate that externally, or re-internalize that and build upon your own self. Like Jason Silva talks about us being our own canvases, and we paint it as we go, and we're creating this artwork that is ourselves as time goes on, and we get to enter the feedback loop with ourselves. Knowing that you're in flow helps you to create more flow, to create more progress, to create more success, and also knowing what induces your flow state, because that changes person to person. Someone who rides waves, they're entering their flow state may be very different from a surgeon who's about to go into surgery, and he needs to also be in a flow state, but he's not going to do it by riding a wave, or by necessarily the same way that everybody else does it, which would be different person to person. So what are your thoughts on knowing you're in flow state, how to identify your flow state, and also how to induce your flow state?
Well, yeah, I think it's helpful for everybody to find their own flow state, because everybody's flow state will probably be different, and how they get into it and what sort of activities that we do. I think that it kind of comes naturally. Like we're attracted to do and keep doing the things that we find fun, and I think that fun or excitement are kind of like synonyms for flow in a way. And it's like, if I, or Joe Schmo is having fun and he's really excited to be skateboarding, then he's going to keep on skateboarding. And then like every time that he goes to skateboard, he's going to get like that flow state. Or maybe not every time, but he's going to get it enough so that it wants him to keep going back. Or if he's not getting it from skateboarding, then eventually, if he keeps trying out different stuff, keeps experimenting with things as he grows older, he might find that he's into painting or whatever it is. And so I think that uh, it kind of comes naturally for everybody, and it's not necessary to like define it as a flow state in like that more meta broad sense. It's not necessary to say flow state. You can just say, oh, I'm having fun or being excited, and people can still and do still find their flow state and find these activities that they get really fun at, and they also get better at being in the activity and learning what actions in that activity get them the flow state. Like a skateboarder might realize that if he's on like a half pipe, that's like his best way to get into flow state, as opposed to just riding the streets, or maybe the other way around. But at the same time, it's helpful, I think, to think of it in that more meta, more broader sense, and to think about, okay, how can I actually get into a flow state? How can I, find the activities that have the most fun, and what can I do in these activities to be most excited about it and to reap the benefits of these flow states? I think that's something that's valuable that everybody could benefit from, probably.
So what are two things briefly that help you get into your flow state personally? Like if you know that you're not feeling, there are some times where I'm not feeling like myself,
Yeah.
or I'm trying to be creative and it's not coming naturally. So what are the things, again, bringing it back to Jason Silva, who talks a lot about flow state. He says that being in the physical provokes the mental, and that putting himself, when you watch Shots of Awe, which is his series, as you know, for just these inspirational shorts, he physically is almost always in some sort of extravagant natural environment. He goes to the bluffs on the west coast of the US, or he goes to like some crazy forests, the boreal forests in Canada, or he's in like Costa Rica on like a beach or something, and he's in front of these enormous natural, like beautiful things that in his explanation of it, like release in his mind the flow state, or they help him get into the flow state, and then he just kind of waits for inspiration to strike, and inspiration is what gets him to his flow. So like what are two things that you found help you personally?
Okay. Well, I'll do three things, just because I was going to do two, but then as
you got to be difficult. Go ahead, three things.
Well, no, I just wanted to include the one that you mentioned, because after you talked about it, I'm like, yeah, of course, being out in a place that's like majestically beautiful and like totally different like that, being out on a cliff is like, it's going to bring flow state. It's going to be it's going to be great being there, and it's going to take me out of whatever non-flow state I was in and help me put into a flow state. I think that one of the things that helps is being in like a new environment, doing something new. And so the other two things I was going to say is music and physical activity, like and particularly music with drumming lately. I've gotten really into drums lately, and it's kind of new, and it's also pretty physical too. And so if I'm ever like not feeling into it that much, just go hit the drums for a while, and like, well, within, I don't know, 20 minutes or a half hour, it'll be like starting out like, okay, this is all right, and then it's like, yeah, and then
it's like you lose yourself in it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What it was that you were thinking before you started it. Now you're just doing that one thing now, and you're loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then physical activity. I mean, it doesn't. There's a lot of different sports or physical activities that I like to do. I found that surfing was really good, but also I've gotten into playing soccer a lot recently too, and tennis as well. Although tennis can be a tricky one too, though, because that's a lot more thinking. So that can be a flow state. But like, I don't know, surfing is maybe the best example. Like when we were going bodyboarding a lot out in California last summer, it's like,
that was so much fun.
Yeah, that's like a really good representation of flow, I think, and the other ones are too. I mean, soccer, it's like it's such an amazing feeling, like just like making like the balls come at you, and you have like a split second to make a touch, and when you make it, it's great. Or if not, then you just keep running and you keep going to get the ball. But yeah, with surfing, it just like being physically active is a really big part of it, I think, and then music really excites me, and anything that's new really excites me. How about you? Do you have a couple things that are particularly good at getting you flow state?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So my number one thing that I found, and I'm happy that I found it as a tool. I hate to say that I would depend on it because it's not something that I was born with, that I have control over just inertly or innately rather. But it is using like caffeine and more particularly mate, yerba mate, that I find really raises my like mental acuity. It raises my energy level, which I think energy is absolutely key to my flow state. I think that my flow is best when I'm communicating ideas to other people, and I become vibrant when I do it, and I can get very much into it, and I like I just like captured like the sense of understanding in people's eyes when I'm speaking to them, and I feed off of their energy back to me, and it's just like this incredible feedback loop that leaves me feeling completely energized, completely motivated, and inspired to do it again. And that for me is the best flow state. But for me, what helps induce it is being able to be in that situation where I am communicating, whether through video or or even just to myself. If I'm communicating even to a camera, so sometimes I get inspired and I get into the flow. Something triggers an idea, and then I decide consciously to pursue the idea in my mind. I'll take out my phone and I'll just start recording. And what I record helps me, when I hear myself, feedback off of the idea and continue with the idea. So I get incredibly excited when I have a mate that brings up my energy levels and gets me mentally stimulated. It primes me for flow state. And then also the flow state itself helps me to feed back more into it. And just actively trying to get into flow state, I found helps me get into flow state. Like sometimes it just happens, and I love when it just happens and it's organic. It's not always organic though. And again, Jason Silva in an interview talks about inducing the flow state, being able to trigger it when you want and not necessarily when it's only organically there. It's great to organically be there, but there's nothing wrong with it also to be able to trigger it, like to be able to flip a switch, a mental mind switch, and go into that state of acuity. And when you're just on, and when you're on, you just can't lose. I feel like when I do have those conversations, even if I'm wrong in saying what I'm saying, like if I say something that's completely not true, I still feel like it's right. Like the way it comes out still feels right. Not that the fact is right, but that the way that's happening, the way that I say it, the way that I communicate it, it always comes off well to other people. And I love it. I absolutely feed on it like a shark around a bait ball, just like I'm just eating it.
It's like taking a cut into a wave if you're surfing, and it's not even like the right cut to take. Maybe it's not the one that's going to help you ride the wave the most, but it's just like fun to be doing it. Or it's kind of like hitting a wrong note in music, and it's like kind of off key or something like that. But you just go with it because it feels good, and then you keep going, and that's what makes the music. There's a quote that I heard from some dude who was in a band, I think, and it was like, I love it when I fuck up. That's the art of it.
Yeah, and also just learning to not be afraid to fail forward, and in succeeding,
Forward.
Failing forward. The idea that even when you fail, as long as you learn something from it, you're failing in a positive direction. Nobody ever succeeded without failing, and I'm learning that more and more every day. And the risks that I take, the risks that anybody takes, are positive as long as they're not directly going to hinder. As long as you're making good decisions, I think those are pretty objective. I mean, not doing drugs that are going to kill you, not drinking too excessively, and there are certain things like not jumping in front of a moving car. Outside of those, like positive risks, where all there is fear standing between you and what you want, take more of those risks and fail, but learn from them, and you'll be growing at a faster rate than anybody else is. Especially if you're aware of when you're in flow, how to induce your flow, and you actively try to attain flow. It's like releasing the brakes. Like entering the flow state is like releasing the brakes, where all these other things bog you down mentally, any anxiety you have about the future or the past, any worries or just fear, just in general, about not knowing what will happen. Like when you're in flow, you can make decisions faster, I think,
Yeah.
and you can just execute decisions, just one after the next, one after the next. And if you enter flow and use that as a platform to make decisions, I feel like you can even be more effective. Like enter flow every day, at least once or twice a day. And if you can induce that, your energy levels go up, your positivity goes up, and then you can start influencing also positively the other people around you.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, one thing I want to jump back to real quick is you mentioned video inducing flow, and I think that relates back to the last one that we did about um, the benefits of video, and that's something that I don't think we really got to, but I would have liked to get to there, like how doing the video is it's like an invitation to yourself or an encouragement to yourself to start talking, and then once you start talking, you get in the role. And I think that one of the characteristics of flow is that, well, I don't know if it's always like this, but in a lot of cases, for me at least, it's like it kind of builds up a bit. Like I mentioned the drums, how maybe it's not the first minute that I'm playing the drums and I'm as into it as I am in 30 minutes. And or if I'm surfing, like maybe I'm most into it in 30 minutes. Although I guess you could probably say that if you're like skydiving, then you probably get into flow, and you probably get into flow immediately from jumping off the plane too. But I think that one of the things about it is like immersing yourself into it so that you're doing it consistently. So you really get into the activity. And I think that video is one of those great things. Not to go back to it too much because we talked about it a lot last time, but it's like that's something I've thought about a lot. That I'll do the same thing as you, where if I have an idea, or even if I don't have an idea, and I feel like kind of dry, kind of not so much in flow, I found that pulling at the camera and talking will get me into the flow. Majority of the time, I'll be feeling good after. Maybe for the first couple minutes, I'll be like fumbling around and not really sure what to say, and then like because I'm talking and I'm on a roll, something good will just come out, or something that I feel is good. Yeah, I have no idea if it's good or not, but I feel like it's good, and I get excited by it.
Well,
And I keep going.
It's exactly what you're saying is exactly what I had just mentioned in some way, because it's like the communication is what helps you climb onto the platform for flow, and then doing it gives you more of it. Like that last thing that you were just saying, what was it? The last thing that you just said there.
The shooting the video, and how sometimes I just get into flow even if I'm not feeling it at all from talking and doing it for a little while.
Right. So talking, even when you're not in flow, gets you into it. It gets you in the mood to be in flow. And then even if you're like fumbling with those words in the beginning, you're failing forward right into the flow. Like you're stumbling right into flow. It's like stumbling through a dark room until you reach the door. You'll get to the door. You'll eventually get to the door, but you have to be in the dark room to get to the door. You have to at least go through that gap, whether the gap is this big or whether it's this big. You'll fumble straight through it and eventually get to it if you're walking forward, like taking the steps to get to the other door. Because if you don't try, you're just not going to ever get there, or it's going to always be random and you're never going to have control over it. Something I just listened to this morning is the idea of people living in poverty, and not referring to financial poverty, but like cultural and mental poverty, where you just drown yourself with all this like nonsense on TV. You don't ever have real intellectual conversations. You're just like trudging through life with like it's just nonsense, and you're living in mental poverty. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It's like if you're not exposing yourself to new ideas, growing, challenging yourself, and quite literally every day, then you're going to go stale, you're going to go stagnant, and these other things are going to start appealing to you, like things that you don't have to work for, like watching reality TV, listening to really like shitty conversations, engaging in shitty, like low conversations where you're just talking about other people and stuff. Yeah, like these are the things. When I'm doing this with my hands, this is like, this is all like nonsense, and it all is not mentally stimulating. It all feeds back into negative feedback loops, and that's like we make a decision every day to either take a step towards positive or take a step towards negative. And everything we do, every decision leads to either positive or negative. We have to choose to live in the flow state and live in the positive and always move forward each and every day to progress.
Yeah, something you mentioned before was failing forward. Like you have to try to get there, and I think that's true of flow states. I've heard this idea: those who fail the most succeed the most,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always heard it applied to business, really, or like create or like creative acts, which I think it makes sense, and it's good there. Although I never really applied it to flow states and a lot of flow activities that we talk about. Like we talk about surfing or skateboarding or taking video and talking on the video. A lot of those things aren't so easy to do. You know, like most people, us included, didn't know how to bodyboard, and I've surfed a bit, and I'm still not really good. I still fall most of the time, and we've both been doing videos for a long time, and now, well, not even that long. I mean, I've been doing videos a lot, like like we were talking about with like just pulling the camera out and just talking and see what happens and get into a flow state for maybe like a year or so. And I remember like years ago I would do that occasionally, and a lot of times it would just be really bad, and sometimes it is still really bad too. But it is like something that I guess relating to that stuff that we were saying before. Sometimes it takes a little time to get into it. Like with the drums, you just you find the flow and you get into it, not necessarily because you're at the right rhythm when you first start, but you just keep doing it and you just keep trying it, and it's a challenge. And that's one of the things I was talking before, that gets you into the flow, something that you're not necessarily gonna succeed at when you first start, but you keep doing it and then you realize, oh, I am doing it. It is like super fun. It's like games. I've read a lot about games and like the psychological benefits behind games, and one of the things about games which makes them really good for flow states and why a lot of people play games, and I'm talking about video games in specific, is like they're created so that it matches our skills, so that it'll make it so that we're not in, if it's a good game, we're not going to beat it right away, and we're gonna lose a lot. You know, our character's gonna like get shot or fall off a cliff or whatever, and then we're like, oh man, but it's going to be like just out of our reach, and the level's going to get a bit harder and a bit harder, so that we can keep on trying, failing forward, like you said. I like that phrase. And
And if you
and the whole way through, like it kind of, you feel like, oh, I can do this. Increases self-efficacy, like the feeling that you can do this given task, and that doing it and then seeing yourself doing it, seeing, oh, I'm on level 10, I'm kicking ass, or oh, I'm playing drums and right now I'm in like a sweet groove, or whatever it is, I'm talking and it sounds good and it's on video, sweet. Then it's like, that's getting into the flow.
think about this, we were in what grade when Halo came out? Like sixth? We were like
Well, we were 11 years old, so
11 years old. So
yeah.
Halo came out, and whenever we talked to each other about the game, we always talked about the achievement. We always talked about the level we reached or the thing that happened when we got to this point. You know, if it was something that we both couldn't get past, we were like super excited when we got past it. Now imagine what Halo would have been like, how short-lived it would have been, and how shitty of an experience it would have been, how low achieving it would have been if we would have stopped after the first or second time we got killed, after our character went down. Like, we never talked about how many times, I don't know how many times my character died in any of those video games. I just know the ones that I beat.
Yeah, right. You remember that part.
The ones that I beat. And what you just mentioned before about how you always kind of heard these ideas as they apply to business, where failing forward applies to business and this, that, and the other thing. You were the first person that said this to me, that you introduced the idea, the way that, and I know that you got this from somewhere else, but I don't remember the source of it. The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
All right.
I don't think that there's any difference between failing forward in a startup business. I don't think there's any difference between that and failing forward with respect to your relationships or your intellectual success. Or, you know, Saman is sitting right here next to me. He's been roasting coffee for how long? Have you been roasting coffee now?
Like 6 months.
6 months. How many batches do you think you've made before you got it right?
At least like 20.
20, at least 20. at least 20 batches of coffee before he got it right. And I tried one of the earlier things of coffee. It was totally shitty. And we tried roasting it. We tried roasting coffee one time.
Dude, that's 20 batches with
the actual roaster, right?
Yeah, the actual.
For an entire year before you got the roaster, you were trying it in the oven, on the stovetop, everywhere. It was all bullshit. It was terrible. But it was every bad cup of coffee that we had or that he tried making, he learned from. And now he gave me like a 2-cup container of ground coffee last week, and it's better than the Folgers that my mom had in the kitchen. Like, that's what we were drinking at my house. We were drinking Simon's coffee, and it wasn't like the first batch that he made. It didn't just get it right the first time, but now he's got a really good product that he could be proud of, and he's still improving on it. It's still getting better. Like, that's how I want to live my life, by Simon's coffee model.
Yeah.
Or the Halo model, or whatever you want to call it.
Something that you mentioned before was, I don't remember the way you worded it, but it was something like, all right, I don't remember what you said before, actually, but I'll base off what you were saying before. You want to live your life based off of that kind of thing. And that's one of the first things that I took away from flow, basically. That, okay, I want to live my life with this. Like, this is I don't know, some knowledge or some principles that I can, like, sort of,
it's like a foundation.
try to shape my life around. Like, I could try to have as much of this as I can in all aspects of life. Have it in coffee, and then also sports and business or creative ventures or whatever. And as I was saying that thing before about how I've heard that thing about fail forward in the context of business and creative and stuff like that, and then as you brought it up, I was kind of thinking, well, you could kind of apply flow to any of those areas. And but what I'm trying to say right now is that what I've tried to do is, since I've learned about flow, and I learned about it a few years ago. I read that book, and ever since then, I've just tried to make it. I've made it a goal of mine to fill my life up as much as I can with flow. Like, if I have 16 hours of awake time during the day, how can I get the most of those hours to be in flow, and how can I be at the most flow? Which kind of, I think, like what you were saying about you want to make your life like that, right?
Yeah, I'd like to build my success out of a series of flow states.
Yeah. The first time that I heard
it's the fastest way to do it too, the most efficient.
Was that?
I'm saying I think it's the fastest and most efficient way. That's why I want to.
The fastest and most efficient way to do what?
To build success, to do anything in life is through operating within your flow state, if you can, for that activity. To build whatever you want.
I think it can be a means to an end in the success or whatever other end, but I think it's also an end in itself too. Like, if I'm in the flow state right now, if I'm excited right now, having fun, then yeah, it's great. That I think that's also the best kind of state to be in, to create more excited states and create more success in the future. That's also where I'd like to be the most in the now too. Like, that's also an end for me too.
Right.
That makes sense.
Like, yeah, it could be like an end goal, as in to just live in that, like, for it to be the foundation of the day. Yeah,
in any moment. So the thing that I was going to bring up, you mentioned Jason Silva a few times. The first time that I ever heard about him was on the Tim Ferriss podcast 2 years ago, and I didn't know what he was up to basically at all. But he was Tim Ferriss asked him something like, "What do you do in your day?" or like, "How's your day start?" And basically his whole entire answer was like, basically he tries to organize his whole day around just being in a flow state as much as he can. And then when I heard that, I was like, damn, I got to read more about this guy. I got to figure out what he's about. Because that's exactly the mentality that I took after I read the book. I was like, okay, this is like how I'm feeling my best, and this is also how I'm doing my best. So how do I get in this as much as possible? Right. So basically,
flow is the answer.
Yeah, it's the answer, and that's been kind of like the impediment, I don't know if that's the right word, or like one of the reasons why I've like kind of dedicated so much to these activities, or tried to dedicate so much of my time to these activities that get me into flow more. Like I play music a lot, and I've tried playing a lot of different instruments, like the drums. I never played that before. I don't know, just the past year or two. But it's been like, okay, well, a lot of people get in flow with that. It seems like it's really fun. So let me try. And it's like that failing forward kind of thing. You get better and better, and then you just realize how much fun it is as you're doing it and you're feeling it. And that's also the reason why I'm so into getting into surfing and stuff like that. And I just got that pass at that whitewater center, and I tried whitewater rafting. I want to try kayaking and all this other stuff. And what I'm trying to say is how you mentioned that you can base your life around it. I think you can do that kind of on a practical level, that everybody can do that on a practical level in trying to maximize the time that you have to spend on those things that will get you in flow, and that will both reward you in that moment, in every moment that you're doing it, and be the best off overall. A lot of people tend to, I think, kind of like write off or don't prioritize flow activities, and I totally get it, because a lot of people have responsibilities which hold them back from flow activities. A lot of people have jobs which don't produce much flow, and and they've got to pay bills and support family and a million other things too. And so it's not always the easiest thing to get in. I mean, I think I'm pretty lucky to have the resources, have instruments and some time to play them, and have had the time over the past few years to try out stuff like surfing, and have grown up with soccer and all that stuff, and that we have video cameras and all that stuff to induce flow. So it's not always easy to get into, but I think that it's something that's valuable to focus on, to try to get as much as you can, knowing that by focusing on it, one, it'll help us enjoy the moment as much as we can, and then two, it'll be the best off for us. Like, while it might not seem like, I don't know, going surfing is all that productive, and it might not be compared to working your job. Of course, it doesn't pay and doesn't support you. By making time for it, if you can, it will help you exist in a state that is more conducive to helping you be successful in the future. Maybe be more creative for a work-related project or something in the future.
It's productive in a different way.
Hello? Are you tying your shoe?
No, I am, but I responded to what you said. I said it's productive in a different way. I don't know if you heard what I said.
Oh, no, I didn't hear
that. Yeah, I'm not just ignoring you.
Yeah. I'm with my shoe.
So with all that being said, and a lot of really great points being hit, and I hope for anybody watching this that this is inspiring a little bit of interest in flow or conversation. Maybe like you want to leave a comment or something below if you're watching this on YouTube, for like to spark like this is something that also, when I say that my flow comes from communication, I think that everybody can get flow from communication. And if you have a thought right now and you're watching something like this, you should be like typing right now below or contacting us in some way to either add to the conversation, be a part of another conversation, or like have conversations with other people. And I think with all that being said and done, why don't you did you want to try doing a schmuck off?
Sure.
Why don't you lead us into the schmuck off?
Okay. Well, schmuck off is a new thing.
It's so new, it's never happened yet.
Yeah. We're not totally sure how it'll go down, but I think it'd be good to have a recurring segment. Call it a schmuck off, and we like that name.
Schmuck off.
Schmuck off. Yeah, and the idea that we have right now is maybe like some sort of like competitive game where us two schmucks and any other schmucks that are involved, if Simon is over there,
and schmuck over here. We're gonna have a schmuck off. We'll give you some floor time in just a second.
Okay. And if there happen to be at another time other people involved or other people watching, everybody's invited, I think, to be a schmuck that participates in the schmuck off.
You could be an honorary schmuck.
Yeah, yeah. An honorary degree in schmuckhood. Schmucks University. Schmucks you.
Just ask my opinion on anything you'd like.
Saman says he'd love to contribute. Just ask his opinion on anything you'd like. It's a very, very politically correct looking just way you did that.
Yeah.
I don't have the word for it right there. But anyway, start us off. Maybe just, is it like a rapid fire question thing?
Yeah. Well, the idea that I had sent you was that we could do some rapid fire questions where one of us asks another any question, can be totally unrelated to flow or totally about anything we want, and then we'll just have quick answers. Maybe try to finish your answer in 15 seconds, and maybe we'll each ask each other something like 3 questions, see how it goes, and then maybe at some point we'll see if there's a winner of the schmuck off, or maybe there's not a winner of the schmuck off. We can see how it goes. How's that sound?
I think it's good. And once we build up a good base of viewers, I think we can hand off the voting to other people.
Yeah. Until now, we'll maybe leave it up to George Washington or whoever's on the coin or something. I don't know.
So just shoot. You want to do one question, or you want to do 3 questions and then 3 questions?
Let's do one question. I think that'll make it more fun.
Let's go. I like the brief thing. 15-second responses will keep it nice and concise. It will force us to think quick and not stall.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I have to think of a question.
All right. I'm gonna use my timer on my phone. I mean on my watch.
Okay. Might be good to prepare questions in the future. But
just rapid fire. You want me to ask you a question?
In general, yeah, you asked me a question.
In general, let me ask you a question. Okay. If you could bring back one person from history, a historical figure, and ask them one question about their life, their success, their progress, who would it be, and what would the question be that you'd ask them?
Oh, I think I might go back and ask. The first thing that came to mind, I don't know if this is going to be a good answer or not, but I'll just go with it, was Genghis Khan. And I would just be like, why? Just to understand what was on his mind, why he was such a tremendous jerk. And I don't know, maybe that'd be helpful to know. Maybe that's not I'd probably want to go talk to somebody nicer, really. I'll probably regret that. Like, man, why to go talk to Genghis Khan? I was such a jerk.
Okay. That's good. I think 30 seconds that was 30 seconds. I think that's a pretty good, if you want to do 30 seconds moving forward, because that's like enough time to give a short response.
Okay, sure.
All right.
If you had the opportunity to explore deep space or the deep sea, which would you do and why?
Ooh, do I get to explore, but is it by myself or do I get to be with somebody?
You get to be with somebody.
Okay. Deep. Oh man, deep space or deep sea? I'm gonna say deep sea, and here's why. Same reason that I wanted to explore the U.S. before leaving other countries, is because to leave 2 other countries, because we live so close to it. It's right here, and especially on Long Island where we live or where we grew up, it's right there next to us. It's literally not even more than a couple miles away. Deep sea, you know. So it's like it's right there, and I know nothing about it. I want to know more about it.
Okay, that's good. All right, does Saman want to get involved now?
Oh, Saman, yeah. Here, let me do this. Let me move this over here. Hello, Saman.
Hello.
Hi, Saman.
So,
Hi, Dan.
here, I'm going to put this on you.
Hi, Dan.
Hey.
Here, put these in your ear. Put these in your ear.
Oh, okay, there.
I can't. Okay. So, I'm going to just hold the mic here while he talks.
Okay, perfect. It works.
All right, can you hear Dan?
I can hear him.
Okay.
I think so.
All right, Saman, so I got a question for you, all right? You ready?
Go right ahead.
Hold this a little closer. Right there.
Go right ahead.
Okay. If you had to live in Blinding light or total darkness? What would you prefer, and why?
Well, I would prefer total darkness because blinding light meant I would have to keep my eyes closed, whereas in the dark I can open my eyes or close my eyes.
Right. So it's just about the comfort of the eyelids at that point.
I can imagine because in blinding light I wouldn't be able to see anything anyway.
That's true.
I'm assuming, unless I would just get used to it after a while, and then I would be able to see everything. I'm not sure. That's a tough question, Dan.
Yeah,
I guess it's all preference.
it is. I hope it doesn't have to come to that. Do you want to ask a question to me or Mike now?
Yeah, I'd like to ask you a question.
Okay.
If you have to go on a camping excursion, you have to be out in the wilderness for 10 days. Where would it be? It has to be like a, forest or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
You're supplied the food. You just have to go out there and live.
just go out there and do.
It's not like you have to hunt or anything like that. Like they give you a backpack full of everything you need to survive out in the wilderness, but you have to be there for 10 days.
Oh, well, that sounds kind of nice, actually. I think that I would go to like an island and just go camp out on the beach, and
Yes.
yeah, and then there'd be coconuts involved, and
Nice tropical.
yeah, and then I could go swimming. With the scenario that you provided, it sounds like a pretty nice setup with everything provided. I mean,
Yeah, well, you got to also take into account that you're on an island. There could be tropical storms or something.
no, because that's not going to happen to me, right?
Hopefully not.
Yeah. If there was maybe like some cave system, kind of like what's his name, Tom Hanks had too, so he could go chill out.
Yes, like in Castaway.
Yeah, and he had Wilson too. So if I could have Wilson, and then I could, or not Wilson, but I don't know, maybe like Dunlop.
But he didn't have anything. He just had to hunt for crabs and fish and bugs or whatever he could get.
Yeah, so I'd be better off. It'd be like Castaway 2, now better and improved with food and supplies.
Food. Yeah, that'll be a fun situation.
Yeah.
If only we can be exposed to that. But I feel like also, I mean, you have to keep in mind that there could be a lot of dangerous things that you don't know about.
Yeah, bugs, that's definitely true.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's true in any kind of life. So, can I ask you another question?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like my first question, it was kind of rushed. I thought about it on the spot as I was saying it, but I think this one might be better, more interesting to answer. If your body, it wasn't made out of skin and hair and everything else you're made out of, but had to be made out of metal or rubber, what would it be? Why?
Well, interesting question. I was thinking about this the other day. I was taking a picture of a bug.
About this the other day?
Yeah, I was taking a picture of a bug the other day. Literally, I took a picture of a bug. And I was like, wow, it's amazing. Life can be in so many different shapes and sizes. But it all consists of generally, DNA and tissue, like live tissue, what we are pretty much, like, living, whatever. So on a different planet, if we were to discover life, I'm wondering, would it be like different than DNA-based life? Would it just be like more like cellulose cells or like plant life organisms? Like I have no idea. Like would that be intelligent life in another? And anyway, with all that aside, the question was, would I like to would I be able to transform my body into rubber or metal? Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Definitely a metal, like in Transformers, where I would have like I guess my DNA would be composed of some type of metal alloy or something. I'm not exactly sure how the science behind the Transformers movie is.
No, I wouldn't expect you to be.
But that would be an interesting thing, especially because like I would be able to rebuild my body if I needed to, since
Yeah.
it's just composed of.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat benefit. Going back to the thing that you were saying before about life being in, possibly a lot of different places and could be totally different based on whatever the chemical
Yes.
makeup of different worlds across. That is a crazy thing to think about. I remember we've talked about this kind of stuff before, and I think it's always interesting. I have no idea how it would be made or how it would look, of course. I was reading a book last night, though, that brought up something that it always kind of blows my mind when I hear it. Are you familiar with the Drake equation? Have we talked about that before?
Just remind me again, real quick.
Yeah, Drake equation. It's like an equation that some physicists have been doing for a while that is meant to estimate the probability of life elsewhere in the universe, or not just the probability, but also how much life there would be.
How much there is out there? Yeah.
Yeah, and so they weigh a bunch of different factors. They weigh like, uh, the odds of life occurring on any planet on Earth, what kind of elements it takes or whatever, and how many planets there are in the universe, how many stars there are in the universe, and all sorts of stuff like that. And they kind of like it's all very much guesswork, but it's kind of just to give.
Yeah, well, they're analyzing conditions out in the universe that would be suitable for life on Earth to occur, but that doesn't mean that life can occur in other conditions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there must be a lot of life out there that we, will obviously never know about, but completely different than any sort of, chemical beings that we see here on Earth.
Yeah, well, which adds even more possibility or more craziness to the equations, that there's so much that we can't even begin to explain or predict with these estimations. Like, just like, I don't know, a couple decades ago, they found those microbacteria that were all the way in the bottom of the ocean.
The extremophiles.
Yeah, just living off of like the chemical heat or whatever rather than photosynthesis.
Yeah.
And so it could be anything like that, or it could be stuff that's just made out of metal or rubber or anything like that. And the reason why I brought up the Drake equation was because like I read it, and they're talking about how the most conservative estimates with the factors they use, bearing in mind that there's so many other factors or things that we might not know about that might contribute to life, is like there are millions of, and it leads to there being millions of intelligent life forms just in the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, just in our own galaxy. That's besides, I mean, when you think about the size of the universe, you're absolutely blown away by that. But then the theory is now that there are multiple universes.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what they say.
That's what they say. That's what they say. I'm not sure exactly what that means.
No, me neither, man. That's our condition. That's who we are. We don't know.
Well, hopefully we'll be alive long enough to figure it out. If not, I'm enjoying life as it is because it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's the thing to it. We'll keep on learning more and more, certainly, with every day we have here. And I don't know, it might be kind of something you never know, you never really learn in completeness, but it's fun to learn, I think. And it's also fun to do all the other stuff that's not necessarily defined as learning, like talking or playing games or looking at beautiful flowers and like looking at the night sky and stuff like that. It's just kind of fun to look at it, I think.
Absolutely. Whenever I look at the sky at night, I'm lost. I'm in awe. I'm in shock.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I can keep coming back to and just look at it. I should look at it every night, but I don't. But as much as I can. Have you ever seen that YouTube video called Gigapixels of Andromeda in 4K?
No, but that sounds amazing.
You should check it out. It's basically, it was released last year, and it's like, I think the Hubble telescope took the highest resolution picture of the Andromeda galaxy, which I think is our closest galaxy. ever taken. It's like 4.5 gigabytes worth of just picture, and then it's like a couple minutes long, the video, and they just zoom in very zoomed or very zoomed compared to what the camera can do on the Hubble telescope. And then it just like it zooms in and it goes across. It looks like sand, dude. Like the stars, how many stars there are, just like endless different shades of white light and different colors of light.
Well, they say like the stars in the Milky Way galaxy can, if there were grains of sand, would cover all the beaches on Earth.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that kind of thing too
about.
before. Yeah, which is always, I think we were talking about flow, and one of the things that kind of gets me into flow is just thinking about that kind of stuff, like pondering it, just like being. There's an emotion that people talk about. Jason Silva talks about it. He's got shots of awe, and he talks about awe a lot, like that state of being in awe, being awestruck, being like. It can happen in a lot of cases, but it definitely happens when you're looking at the night sky and you like, and you think about stuff like this, all that stuff that we've heard about, like space being incredibly big and how it's like basically impossible for us to even comprehend the thing about how many sand bits or whatever there are in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just an incredible fact that we know. We can look in telescopes, we can see that that's a fact. And any human knowing that fact, any logical human being knowing that fact should get amped and, realize like, wow, how lucky, you are to be around to know that fact. Not just alive. I mean, there's probably life everywhere, but not life everywhere is around and knows that fact, knows about, that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Earth has been around for like how many billions of years, and until now, people did not know anything about, the universe. Or do you think? How long do you think it takes for life on a planet to actually look at another galaxy in high def?
Oh well, I don't know.
Because it took us what? It took us how long? Life started, I guess, what?
I think it was like 3 billion years ago or something. Because I think I've heard the Earth started like forming 4 or 5 billion years ago, and life took like, I don't know, 1 billion years to really get going.
Yeah.
All this, by the way, I just heard it through the grapevine. So if I'm off by a year or two, that might be possible.
We're talking about billions here. It doesn't really matter. I mean,
yeah, right. Yeah, but yeah, it's taken a while, and I guess it could happen quicker or longer, and it depends on what you call high def and what you call knowing. I mean, our pictures are still like, they're high def. They're incredibly high def by our standards. They're way more high def than this.
By our standards, but our kids will probably be able to zoom in on the stars and see if there are any planets there.
Yeah, like maybe zoom into the stars and see, like, I don't know, the hydrogen atoms exploding or whatever in like high def. Like,
everybody will have their own personal drone that just flies up into the atmosphere and can take pictures of whatever they want.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's already almost happening. Like, there's like those basically pocket-sized drones that are like self-following, kind of autonomous like that, and they're like a few $100 right now.
Yeah, they're not that expensive. I bought one the other day. It's got a 2-megapixel camera on it.
Oh, really?
And it's very impressive. The control on it is extremely sensitive. I mean, I can fly it right onto a landing strip that's maybe 1 foot, and I can do that like 1 foot in diameter, and I can do that like 50 feet away.
Wow. Do you control it with like a remote control?
Yeah, it's a simple joystick remote control.
Sweet.
But instead of like a plane where you're controlling like yaw and pitch, you're just controlling all degrees, and you can rotate it in every direction.
How is it? You said you just caught it earlier this week.
Yeah.
How is it to have it and be flying it? Are you excited?
Yes, it's extraordinary. Actually, I got some really good video, and I was really excited because today looks like a pretty calm day. Perfect for flying, something like that.
Are you going to do it today?
I was thinking about it.
Nice.
Yep.
What'd you get on video?
Basically just really good aerial shots of my house and the bay, the Great South Bay. A lot of those, because if I get high enough, I can see right past my street.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and
good.
into the bay.
You can get some good shots from right outside your door.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Nice, man. I'm jealous. I hope you enjoy that. I've been getting into all sorts of stuff with video. I mean, Mike and I were talking about video, like talking on camera, but entirely separate from that is just like trying to get just cool looking shots. I've been messing around with a lot of effects apps on the phone, and also have been inspired to like just search out for good shots, like go to places that are interesting to look at, and then take videos and pictures. And I'm planning to start sharing some of those online, and I think it'd be really cool. I've seen some people share drone videos where they just like make it look awesome. So
you know what are some really awesome pictures that I got the other day? I was flying my drone and I flew it up to the top of a tree, like the top of a really tall pine tree, man. I think it's probably like 60 feet up. I mean, it's really a big tree. And there were birds inside the tree. And instead of the birds flying out of the tree, they just sat and looked at the drone. And it was really cool to see them just sitting there in their natural habitat, just chilling.
Oh yeah.
And that was some really cool footage that I thought a lot of people would enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you should put that up online somewhere so I can see it.
Yep. I'll definitely capture some more of that.
Are you gonna share?
Yes.
Nice. How big is the drone?
It's about maybe 1.5 feet.
And the birds don't fly away?
No, it's not very loud at all. It's very quiet. It just
Nice.
kind of hovers quietly. Doesn't look very threatening at all.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If I was a bird and I saw like a thing that was the size of me or maybe bigger, and it was like, even if it was quiet, but it looks like something I've never seen before, I think I might be a little bit freaked out.
True. I also wasn't that close to them. I mean, I was a good like 5 or 6 feet away.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense then.
But I mean, you could see everything perfectly clearly, and you could see them sitting in their nest and everything.
That's really neat, man. I love watching animals on TV, like nature documentaries and stuff like that, and seeing those close-up shots. It's like, have you ever seen this this nature documentary called, I think it's called Hidden Worlds or something like that, Hidden Empire?
No, but I could imagine it's like just close-up video of animal habitats.
Yeah, like they follow. There's only a few episodes of it, but they follow small animals. They follow chipmunks in one episode, and they follow little monkeys in another episode. And they get like really good cameras, and so they have like, I don't really know how to do it, but they'll have a shot where it just like, it's like right in front of the chipmunk as he's running into the thing, and it's like maybe a foot away, it seems like, and they follow him all over, and they like kind of construct a story about what he's doing. Like they show him fighting with other ones and stealing his food and stuff like that. It's really neat.
Yeah, they have you know, pretty like interesting like lives, I guess you could call it. And a lot of them have like a decent memory. Like some animals, like for example, squirrels. I don't know if you know this, but when squirrels hide their nuts, they don't actually like guess where they are. They know where they are. They have memory. They remember where they put their nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. I'd have a tough time remembering that.
A lot of people thought that squirrels smell around for them, but no, actually, it's not true. They found out that they can actually remember, like they have a, I guess, a long-term memory of where they put them.
Well, it makes sense if they were able to smell it, then any other squirrel could go steal their nuts. But being that they remember it, and I guess that's the way they had to do it, so they just had to evolve that capacity for memory.
I
And
mean, it makes sense because, like, when you think about it, when I do things around my house, if I put things in random places, I will lose them a lot. But if I have a spot for them and I constantly put it there,
yeah,
and I will remember that it's there all the time, like 90% of the time. You
but
know,
squirrels put it in a lot of different spots, don't they? Or do they always just put it in one spot their whole life?
no, so it turns out I think like they pick several spots and they just remember like those spots or whatever.
Yeah, right. They get like a small selection of it rather than everywhere,
Yeah.
and then split up their earnings not all in one basket too, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, if another squirrel finds your nuts, then you've lost your food for a while.
Not good. Probably the sad fate of many squirrels.
Yeah. There's theft in all animals, not just us.
Yeah, except for blue whales. I don't know if they really steal anything. They're too big.
I don't think they have anything that could be like stolen. I mean, there's like little algae eaters that probably steal all the algae that's on their back, but they probably like that.
Oh yeah, and they're probably
Yep.
So hey, you been, Simon? I haven't seen you in like since November, I think, almost
I've
6
been
months.
pretty well. Pretty well. I've gotten engaged lately.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That means I'm completely broke.
Yeah. Oh, because the wedding expenses.
Oh, not even that. I just bought a piece of glass. It's like literally the size of my fingernail. It goes around her finger. It's a diamond.
A ring, I believe it's called.
Yeah, it's a ring. Yes.
Yes. But it's
But
not all glass.
I call it a yeah. It's a piece of glass, dude. Come on.
Okay.
You can tell me it's a diamond. What other purpose does it have besides being a little clear piece of glass? Nothing.
Oh,
It doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever.
no, I think that some people use diamonds in like industrial stuff because they're so hard.
Yeah, industrial purposes, but like
Yeah.
she's not going to use it for anything industrial.
Oh no, she's not. Yeah, well, I guess that it is, but it's kind of like I don't know. It's especially nice piece of glass that maybe.
Yeah, it's a symbol of status. Apparently, the
All
bigger
right.
the piece of glass, the more of a bitch you are, or whatever.
This piece of glass is huge. I'm a huge bitch.
What?
That's a big one. Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, listen, it's all in good health for the economy. I'm trying to spend money to get the economy going. That's why.
Yeah, that's good of you, Simon. That's a valiant thing you're doing.
Yes, yes. I figured the jeweler could use a nice whatever he's gonna get out of all the money I gave him.
Hey man, he's probably got a family to feed.
Yeah, he does. He does, which is good. And he's gonna pay his employees, and they're gonna feed their kids.
Yeah, so you're being like a pretty nice dude for all their families.
You know, I was thinking about that. So my business employs 17 people, and that's really like something. I mean, I feed 17 families. That's not all their income, obviously, but that's I feel like I shouldn't be taxed as much because I am trying to, you know, yeah, help. Yeah, I don't know. I pay too much taxes. It's not good.
helping you feed your family.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, well, I don't make any money. So,
everybody's got to eat, and the tax people, I think they try
I
to
should have been a
make
drug
a lot of
dealer, man.
taxes
That's tax free.
so they can eat more too.
Anyway, Yes, yes. I'm going to hand the mic back over to Mike soon.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna hand the mic back over to Mike soon.
You're gonna hand Mike over to the microphone.
Yeah, Mike and Mike.
Hey, I'll be right back, guys.
All right. Then sit up right back.
He's trying to get away. Yeah, it's always good to catch up, especially with this. The connection's been really, really good
Yeah,
today. It hasn't messed up one time.
Right
Yeah, it is right here. Yeah, the microphones help a lot too. So, what do you want the next couple of hours to look like? Do you want to go straight to the doctor first, or do you want to do something else first and then go to the doctor?
Well, today's payday, and I think I should go to the deli.
Dude, you know you have to go to the doctor though.
Yeah, I know.
So let's go to the doctor, and then we'll go to the deli after. It's only 12 o'clock.
All right, but I gotta make the payroll before 2 o'clock because then my employees are gonna leave. I can just call them and let them call them, say let them borrow whatever they want. You think I should go to the doctor first?
Yeah, I think you should go to the doctor first.
All right.
Hey, Mikey.
Hey, Danny K.
So I've got until about 12:30.
It's okay because we got to actually start wrapping up. So I was thinking we'd just do kind of either a recap or a sign off or something like that.
Okay, that's cool. Do you want to do talk about more flow another time? Do like a part 2 on it?
Yeah, maybe we do like a different segment where we bring just like a more low level to the actual category. Like maybe talk about specific examples of people or instances in our lives or something like that, so we don't end up talking about the same stuff again.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I also think that the future of flow is interesting to talk about. Like,
okay.
I guess stuff you talk about with group flow and stuff that Jason Silva talks about with like the potential of if more people can be in flow constantly, like what if we're always in flow, stuff like that. I think that'd be interesting to talk about sometime. Wow.
Just flowing
like water. We all on water. Buy more bras than Zachary Moore.
Cool, man. Well, I think that it was a great conversation. Even Saman did a lot of catching up there too.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's gonna be a good idea when we have a collection of videos to actually do a strong edit for each of the videos to make sure they're like all on topic.
All right. Yeah.
We should just do a big hangout with like we should try to get like we were talking about last time or the time before that where we just have like a bunch of people just doing a video together and just record that.
Yeah.
Just broadly talking like everybody just like grabs a beer and sits down at their computer and from wherever they are, everybody's just together.
Yeah, that'd be good. Let's get that set up for next week if that's good for you. I'll send out some text messages and stuff over the weekend, I think.
Okay, right on. I should get my schedule in the next couple of days for the next 2 weeks. So as soon as I get that, I'll communicate back what those days are that I'm available.
Cool. Oh, one more thing that I thought about too is I asked you about recording the video and like recording the whole thing, because we were talking on camera for 40 minutes before we started recording, but that's gone now because that wasn't being recorded, even though it was on camera.
It's gone.
So in the future, I think just right from the start, unless we have anything that we specifically don't want to be on camera, then we should always start the record right in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, like you were saying before, we can go back and edit it to cut out the beginning and then also cut out any parts that aren't really so applicable to the story too.
Right. Definitely.
So, okay, cool. I just wanted to flatten that out.
Oh, one thing I also wanted to bring up. You remember how you asked me if I had that video. I don't think I have that video. I think you had the video. I only recorded one video. I think it was the first one.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
There's a way you have to, like in the bottom right-hand corner where you see my thumbnail and the one that says Mike or or the one that says Dan or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's something there where you have to set it, I think, as the host to pick up. I don't know where it is, but it was working when I did it. They have to pick up Who's
Present to
speaking?
everyone. Well, I hope that for this conversation, because it worked fine for the other ones, so we'll have to just see. Maybe that was accidentally clicked, but hopefully by default, it will be picked the right way. If not, I also posted on Google Hangout on Air forum, and it seems like they'll probably reply and let me know what the deal is too.
Okay, right on. Cool.
Cool, man. Well, it's been fun talking with you guys.
It's always a good time. I think Samantha stepped out, but I'll let him know that you said it was fun and goodbye and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Hey, also, we had a really strong connection today. I think Samantas actually has a really strong connection. I tested it before, and it was like 30 million bit upload or something like that, like super strong.
Yeah.
So at least we know it's good here.
Yeah. Well, it'd be cool if you and Simon want to do it in the future. If Simon wants to be a more
regular schmuck.
More regular schmuck, yeah, that's cool. And then it's good to know there's internet. It's good.
Yeah. All right, man. Cool. You have a great day down in the Carolinas. I'll have a great day up here in the Nueva York, and we'll reconnect shortly.
Okay, buddy. You have a great day too.
There he is.
See you later, man.
See you, Simon.
He said, "See you."
Love you. Bye, guys.
Bye.